Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. So if your Bosch ice maker just stopped making ice and you're thinking it's completely shot, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to troubleshoot and fix it. Good news is, most of the time, it's something way simpler than you'd think. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group, links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. So the biggest culprit, and this happens about half the time, is the ice makers just switched off or locked. I had this customer last week call me in a panic, thought her whole ice maker was dead. Turns out she'd hit the ice maker off button
Gonna
while
come up to
cleaning
it,
around the dispenser area.
press it right
Here's
here.
what to
It
look
says the
for.
ice maker is
Check your
off.
display panel
Now
for
my
a
ice
lock
maker is on.
icon or a crossed out ice maker symbol. On digital models, that control lock or child lock can get engaged accidentally, which shuts down the whole dispenser and ice making system. Some models also have a physical switch hidden behind the ice bucket or underneath the unit. Look for a little green light that might be off or flashing. Here's your step by step fix. First, look at your display panel right now. See a lock icon or crossed out ice symbol. Hold the lock button for 3 seconds until it disappears. No lock icon, try holding the ice maker button for 3 seconds instead. Some models have a physical switch behind the ice bucket. Make sure it's flipped to on with a green light showing. Test it by requesting ice from the dispenser. This 30-second check costs nothing and fixes half of all ice maker problems. The second most common issue, and this catches people off guard, is water flow problems. Bosch filters are designed to trap heavy sediment, but after 6 months, that mineral buildup really restricts flow. If your home supply pressure drops below 20 psi, that inlet valve just can't operate properly. You'll know this is happening when you see the change filter light or water from the dispenser is flowing really slowly. Another dead giveaway is when your cubes start getting progressively smaller or hollow. That's your ice maker trying to work with insufficient water. Here's the thing most people don't realize: your water dispenser might still work fine while the ice maker doesn't. So they rule out water supply issues, but the ice maker actually needs higher pressure and uses a separate solenoid valve to function. Here's what to do: replace the filter first. Get an OEM Bosch Ultra Clarity Pro filter, about 30 to 60 bucks. After installing it, test your water pressure by filling a 1 gallon pitcher at your kitchen faucet. It should fill in less than 20 seconds for proper ice maker operation. If it takes longer, you have a water pressure issue that needs a plumber, not an appliance repair. Don't assume the inlet valve is broken when it's just not getting enough water pressure to work. Now, if you've got a new filter but you're still having issues, the water inlet valve might be the culprit. This solenoid valve is responsible for sending water to the ice maker, and it can fail either electrically or mechanically. I remember this guy who called me about his Bosch making this loud humming or buzzing sound every time the ice maker tried to fill. Turned out the solenoid coil had burned out. That's electrical failure. Or you might get mineral deposits that jam the valve open or shut. That's mechanical failure. There was actually a solenoid valve defect recall on some Bosch models back in 2024. Here's how to identify a bad inlet valve: loud humming or buzzing every 2, 3 hours when the ice maker tries to fill, or zero water reaching the ice tray despite a brand new filter. Warning: this next test involves electricity, so unplug your refrigerator first. If you own a multimeter, you can test the valve's solenoid coils. They should read between 200 and 500 ohms. No multimeter? Skip this test and call for service if you hear that humming sound. Don't make the mistake I see all the time: replacing the entire ice maker assembly when it's just this $50 to $100 valve at the back of the fridge that's faulty. If the valve has no continuity or is leaking water into the bin causing ice clumping, it needs to be replaced. Don't bother trying to clean it. Learned that one the hard way. Here's something that trips up a lot of people: temperature issues. The ice maker won't cycle if your freezer is above 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Seems obvious, but I've seen it countless times where someone left the door slightly ajar, warm air gets in, and next thing you know, the fill tube is frozen solid. Here's your action plan. First, buy a freezer thermometer for about $5. Your digital display isn't accurate enough. Place it in the freezer for 2 hours, then check it. You want 0 to 5 degrees Fahrenheit. Too warm? Lower your freezer setting and wait 24 hours. Next, remove your ice bucket and look for that small water filled tube at the back. See any ice buildup blocking it? That's your problem. Use a hairdryer on low heat, never high heat, to melt the blockage. This takes about 5 minutes. Common misdiagnosis here is replacing the thermostat when the real problem is dirty condenser coils or a torn door gasket causing temperature instability. Try lowering your freezer settings or hitting that super freeze button if your model has one. For a frozen fill tube, use a hairdryer on low heat. Don't ask me how I know not to use high heat, but trust me on that one and clean those condenser coils to improve cooling efficiency. The least common issue, but when it happens, you'll know it. Actual mechanical failure of the ice maker assembly. Bosch uses these flex tray models where a plastic tray twists to eject ice. That rectangular slot where the motor connects is a known weak point that can crack over time. You'll hear grinding or popping sounds during the harvest cycle. If the tray is stuck upside down or twisted and won't move, either the motor or tray is broken. Most models have what I call a secret reset button, usually a recessed hole near the power button. Use that to force a cycle and observe if anything's moving. Don't assume it's a software glitch when you can hear the motor trying to turn but nothing moves. That's usually stripped gears or a cracked tray. If the tray is cracked or gears are stripped, you're looking at replacing the entire ice maker assembly or just the tray if it's available separately. That's going to run you anywhere from 150 to 450 bucks depending on your model. The water inlet valve. This is your electrically controlled valve that opens to supply water to both the dispenser and ice maker. When it goes bad, mineral deposits prevent proper sealing so you get leaking, or they prevent opening so you get no water. Sometimes the solenoid coil just burns out completely. You're looking at 50 to 100 bucks for this part. Here's how you verify it's actually bad. Test those solenoid coils with a multimeter for continuity. Should read between 200 and 500 ohms on most models. Also confirm your house supply is at least 20 psi. Watch out for false positives though. A clogged water filter or kinked supply line can mimic a dead valve perfectly. The misdiagnosis risk is high here because people often replace the expensive ice maker assembly when this cheaper part is the real culprit, way more common than you'd think. The optic sensors or level control board, these use infrared beams to detect when the ice bin is full. Frost accumulation on the lenses or electrical failure of the sensor board will stop ice production even when the bin is empty. Good news is, most of the time you can fix this with a cotton swab and some cleaning. Cost you nothing. If the actual sensor board is bad, you're looking at anywhere from free to about 100 bucks depending on what needs replacing. High misdiagnosis risk here because it often leads to unnecessary replacement of the entire ice maker unit. Sometimes the ice bucket is just misaligned and not seating flush, blocking the beam. Check that first before you start throwing parts at it. All right, if you're dealing with faulty parts, let's talk about what you're looking at cost-wise and whether it makes sense to DIY or call someone like me. Here's the thing about Bosch ice makers. They've got some specific design quirks that affect how these parts fail and what you can reasonably tackle yourself. Now, before we wrap up, you can see right there on your screen the most common Bosch models that run into these ice maker issues. Maybe you'll spot your own unit there. The 800 series models especially have that cracked flex tray slot problem I mentioned, and some of the B36CT and B36FD models are known for getting stuck upside down during harvest cycles. If you've got one of the B22CS series units, watch out for that ghost dispensing issue. There's actually a service bulletin on that one. That's how you fix Bosch ice maker problems. Here's your quick checklist. Step 1, check for lock icons and hold the lock button for 3 seconds. Step 2, replace the water filter if it's over 6 months old. Step 3, test freezer temperature with a real thermometer. Step 4, look for ice blockages in the fill tube. Step 5, listen for humming sounds that indicate inlet valve problems. Follow this order and you'll solve 90% of ice maker issues in under an hour, saving hundreds in service calls. Here's the pattern that applies beyond just Bosch. Anytime you've got advanced sensors and tight tolerances in ice makers, small changes in water pressure, temperature, or settings can shut down the whole system. Same troubleshooting logic works on other premium brands too. Always check the simple stuff first. Now that you've got it working again, here's how to keep it that way. Replace that water filter every 6 months religiously. Don't overpack the freezer, which blocks air vents. And if you start getting smaller or hollow cubes, that's your early warning sign to check the filter or inlet valve before you get a total shutdown. If this helped you get your ice maker working again, hit that like button and drop a comment below. Let me know which fix worked for you. Really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.